Welcome to Why We Worship. Everyone who's thought about the Mass has probably wondered, is it just a coincidence that the Eucharist, the Last Supper, coincided with the Jewish feast of Passover? Well, if we look back to the time when the Passover preparations were happening in ancient Egypt with Moses, we look at the instructions that Moses received from God, and they're very, very particular. Take, for example, he had to have a 1-year-old male lamb without blemish. It has to be killed, its blood placed on the lintel of their houses, and then its flesh roasted, and each family would partake in the lamb that they roasted. Very particular. Interesting that the lamb that was sacrificed was something that was reserved for God. It was their best sheep in their flocks, and yet that would be the one that would save them. And it's also interesting that God asked them to eat the lamb. Sure, it was set aside, made holy for God's own purposes, but He wanted His people to take part in that holiness, so to speak. And it's impossible to deny that whatever you eat becomes very much part of you. Now we fast forward a millennia and a half to the time of Christ. At the Last Supper, our Lord Jesus knew that He Himself was the Lamb of Passover, the final Lamb of the feast that was just pointing to Him all these years. Because it would save everybody for all time, not just from Egyptian slavery, but from our own sins. And of course, just as in Passover, you have to eat the lamb. And that's why our Lord Jesus comes to us in the Eucharist. We eat His body and drink His blood. And that is one more reason why we worship.